You so awesome. Hello. Welcome to today's Tuesday Table Talk. Where is the host? There she is. There she is.
Her camera is just...
I know, like, okay, you want to scoot just a little bit over. We're blessed to have a new camera, but sometimes our camera doesn't like just talk loud. It's programmed to attract to the voices, and for some reason, let's see. We're gonna twist it just a little bit. Bear with us. Bear. There we go. All right.
Oh, there you go.
There she is. Awesome. Okay. Welcome to today's Tuesday Table Talks. I am your host, Lotus.
And I am Tigra, and we are in the wonderful, lovely, sacred place of Love and Light Wellness.
Yes, we are. Yes, and we are happy to be here on this special day of St. Louis. As you know, we are in St. Louis, and we are broadcasting on St. Louis's 314 Day, right?
Yes. And we're also smack dab in the middle of Women's History Month.
Yes.
And speaking of Women's History, we have one fierce, lovely, powerful woman right here. Our special guest today, Angela McCarthy of the McCarthy Insurance Group.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Angie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So, a little bit about me. Angela McCarthy, lived in St. Louis my whole life. I've been in insurance probably since 2005, which it's hard to believe it's been that long. I became an agent about 4.5 years ago, so I actually took over my own agency. I met Tigra many years ago.
You won't say how long ago.
Working at my original office, and it's just really something that I'm passionate about, and I just cannot imagine our world and the way we live if insurance was not in place.
Beautiful.
So there are so many different types of insurances. Most people don't even realize what you can insure. You used to insuring your car, your house, but there are also life insurance, umbrella.
Yeah.
Tell us about these. Explain umbrella. A lot of people don't know what umbrella policies are.
Sure. So an umbrella policy is a liability policy, and it covers you and any negligent acts or things that may occur. It goes over and above your existing limits of liability on your home, your auto, any recreational vehicles you may have. And what it does is it provides an additional $1 million up to $5 million of liability coverage and defense coverage should you find yourself in a situation. For example, we had an insured. She had a $2 million umbrella. Driving, had a small accident. The gentleman got out of the car. Everything was fine, so she thought. What she didn't realize at the time is she had hit a plastic surgeon. His hands were damaged. He was no longer able to practice his craft. So we paid the auto limits of liability. In addition, they paid the full $2 million umbrella out. And so by having that protection, it afforded her the legal and defense costs. She did not have to hire an attorney. We provided that for her. And it also covered that expense because she could have, it ends up on you, right? You go through small claims court, they can garnish your wages. If you have any sort of inheritance or any sort of, trust, they can come looking for that. So just crazy to think how that impacts. And like she said, he got out of the car, everything was fine. It's not like he died, like what I think it comes to most people's minds. And $2.5 million later.
That is wild. And I'm glad you mentioned limits. Talk about legacy protection. My goodness. What people don't realize, when you're looking for insurance, especially speaking of car insurance, most people are trying to get that bare minimum because you want the rates to go down, right? So you get those state minimums. That just means the limits that the state has set as far as having a vehicle, what you have to have at least this amount. Missouri, I don't know, is it 10,000?
Yep.
Is it 10,000?
It's 25,000 for bodily injury. It's 10,000 for property damage, and then 50,000 total that we'll pay.
So if you get those minimum limits trying to save a few dollars, just imagine driving, how St. Louis people drive. Can you imagine hitting somebody with either this situation or multiple people in the vehicle? And again, if you don't have those limits on your policy, they're going to come after you unless you have extra coverage like the umbrella or better limits.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what do you suggest to people when they come into your office looking for policies?
Sure. We do a lot of the education piece because a lot of people don't know what those numbers mean to them. They know that's what the state of Missouri requires. This is what I have to have, so this is what I want because this equals cheaper, right? But not always. And so insurance companies, we typically will not write those limits, because it just goes against everything we're there to do. That's the stuff that keeps me up at night. You have an accident, you hurt somebody really bad, and your policy hits the limits, and now they're looking to you to say, okay, make me whole, put me back, and so we have conversations, and we're like, do you know what $25,000 in property damage looks like? I mean, how many people's cars nowadays cost double $25,000? Right. And like you mentioned, if you have multiple vehicles or multiple people, your bodily injury at $25,000, my goodness, you're gonna hit that so quickly in a hospital stay. So we really try to show them what these coverages mean and how that impacts them potentially should they find themselves in a situation where they have a loss.
I know one thing that I think is interesting that I did not know, that even if you don't have a car, say you had an accident or whatever, your car just went down, you haven't got another car, that it's still best to not let the insurance lapse. So it's best to continue coverage, continue paying, instead of letting it lapse, because what will happen if you...
Sure, no, that's a great point, and a lot of people don't realize
I did not know that.
It's like a garage policy.
Right, and you can do the non-owner, so it means it just basically extends liability to any vehicle that you're driving. And it maintains you as an insured status, right? So when folks come to us at American Family in particular, and they've not been insured for over 30 days, we can't even write them with American Family proper. We have to go to the general, because they are now considered high risk.
Right.
And the rates, I mean, the difference in rate, you think you're gonna save a couple dollars by saying, well, I don't have a car and I probably won't have one for a couple months, but they get you on the rate side. It's really bad.
Yeah.
Wow. So and even if you do have a car, let's say it broke down or stopped working, okay, let's say you take off your collision and comprehensive, keep that liability.
Yes.
So again, for her, the point that she just mentioned.
Absolutely.
Now, what other forms of coverage are there? So I know, we're concerned about business insurance and, and other aspects of insurance.
BOP. Yeah. Business owner policy. So BOP, that's what you're going to hear a lot. And a BOP is just a package policy. It's going to encompass a lot of things. It's going to have your property coverage in there. So whether you own or rent the building, you're probably going to need some coverage for property, because a lot of folks, even if they're renting, they build out their space. And if that place goes up in flames or a tornado comes through, they're out those dollars. That's not up to the landlord to reimburse them for that. That was their money, their capital. So you want to have that. It's going to encompass your general liability. So if somebody comes in, trips over a wire, breaks their ankle, and they're like, well, shouldn't have had a wire there.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay, well. But again, that's what your coverage is there for. And so you have it in place. And a BOP is really nice because, like I said, it just packages it all together for you.
So, what about my business where I don't have I'm mobile with it? What would you suggest for someone like me who has just equipment, maybe hauling around in my vehicle? Or
Yeah, so it's more a la carte. You definitely want your general liability, because just in case, again, anything goes wrong, somebody trips on something when you're unloading, whatever. But you also want your equipment covered, so that's going to be covered under inland marine. So we just have two pieces that we kind of put together and create a policy.
Now, how much would something like that, a la carte policy cost? I'm sure, a lot of our listeners okay, yeah, that's good. I know I need insurance. I need this. I need this. But what is what are we looking at in regards to price? How much would we need to pay?
Sure. And not too terribly long ago, we could estimate it, right? I bet you it would cost about this. Nowadays, there are so many variables that work in that rating of the policy. It's hard to say. I mean, we look at so many things. It's going to determine, how many things are you scheduling. Scheduling items would be anything that's valued over $1,000. So it's specifically scheduled. It's really, what zip code are you operating out of? What are you doing? What's your payroll? What's your gross sales? So there's a lot that goes into rating a policy.
I'm glad you mentioned that zip code, because I don't know, between city and county, do you see, like, what's the difference? Are they based risk? I'm assuming that's the main factor.
Yeah, so
Risk.
they've gotten really, really granular with the rating. So it used to be you would have a territory, right? And it was just a large area. And they've gotten down to zip code and even census block. So they've really gotten granular and really trying to rate appropriately for the risk, right? So if you're in an area where you're experiencing a lot of thefts, things like that, which are happening everywhere,
Right.
you know, you might see a slightly higher premium. I will say that we've got two companies here locally that are no longer insuring the Kias and the Hyundais because of the thefts. Yeah.
Yes.
American Family has not taken that stance yet. And so I was curious. I just had a coworker that quoted one, and he said, you know, she was getting canceled by such and such company. And I said, oh, how was our rate? You know, were we higher? Because we know these cars are being targeted. And he said, no, we are actually cheaper than what they were non-renewing her at. So I was kind of surprised, actually. I thought it would be the opposite. I thought, okay, we're going to take on the risk, but we're going to charge a little bit more for it.
Well, that's good.
That is good. It's interesting though. But what's her car? Is her car the, you know, part of the cars that have been having the issues? So
It's in that year range, right? What is it, like 2016 to 2021 or something like that? Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of folks are finding themselves in that situation right now too. And then if we talk about just in general insurance rates, right? That's coming up. I have that conversation daily. Why is my car insurance more? Why is my homeowner's insurance more? What's happening? I haven't done anything. I haven't had a claim. But you look at the world that we're living in and the inflation and how everything is just so out of whack.
Right.
And so, you know, we try really hard. We are really advocates of looking for ways, how can we save you money without sacrificing coverage? Because I believe if I sacrifice your coverage and you go out and have a car accident, I haven't saved you a dime. I've actually cost you money at this point. So have I done a service for you? I haven't. I've disserviced you. So we really try to show, you know, hey, look, this is what's happening. And I'm a visual person, so I've got spreadsheets and I'll put it together. This is where you are, this is where you are, this is what we can do, you know, but really trying to show them like where that rate's coming from, right? Are you getting more coverage out of that? What's happened? What are the losses? So I just think that trying to have conversations and just be proactive about those rate changes. I think a lot of people try to hide behind it and think, oh, I don't want to talk about it, but they're going to get their bill or it's going to hit their account. It's going to be $40 more and they're going to be a little upset because you didn't reach out to say, hey, can we talk about this?
Right. Now, other insurance, of course, life insurance. You know, I know we have a lot of listeners and people that want to know about life insurance. What is it that we need to do? Why is it necessary? Why is it important?
And all the different types.
Yes.
Yeah, so many different types. Life insurance is probably one of the most important things I think that I do personally is talking about it, bringing it up, because it is a coverage that you don't have to have it. Nobody's going to make you get it, you know, and a lot of times people will call and they want it and it's after they've gotten a diagnosis and now they're no longer insurable. And you have to say, well,
sorry,
you know, there's nothing we can provide you at this time. So yes, all different types. Juvenile life insurance, it's really smart to buy it on your kids when they're young and they're healthy. It's never going to get any cheaper than when they're young and healthy. You also have the option when you buy it on your kids, you guarantee purchase options. So they're able to purchase insurance 8 additional times in their life without any medical underwriting. So regardless of what happens in their health history, there's no medical underwriting. It's a guaranteed approval for them. And so that's just huge. A guarantee is a big deal with life insurance because they're saying, okay, we'll write it. And you know, it's hard. You see so many kids here with autism, things like that. And so if they get to a certain progression with the autism, insurance companies won't write them for life insurance. And so to catch it while it's young, get the policy while it's much more inexpensive, it provides the coverage for the future. It's really, really key.
What do you say to those customers who are like, it's a bit, you know, who have that doom look about, they get so morbid.
Right. And that's where we try to talk about, no, that you're securing their future, right? You are opening 6 additional opportunities for them to purchase life insurance with no medical underwriting. So regardless of what they may come across in life, you know, they've got approval. It's going to happen. All they have to do is say, yes, I want it. So there are some people that you can't get past that, and I get it. I'm a mom, right? It's hard to think like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
But with that being said, I've always had life insurance on my kids, you know, and they've got whole life insurance. So whole life earns a cash value. And at this point, their policies are paid off. I've actually got more cash value in them than I paid for the policy. So policy's paid for itself and then some, and it still has a death benefit attached to it. And they still have 3 additional opportunities based on their current ages to purchase additional insurance.
Can you explain the death benefit to people who don't know what that is?
Sure. So the death benefit is what is paid out should they pass. You know, that's what everyone, you know, we don't want to go there, but it does happen. It does happen. And I've seen it happen both ways, where they've had something on their child and where they haven't. And the difference is huge. You know, I just worked with a lady 2-3 months ago, and she said, I have to get insurance on my 17-year-old. And I said, okay. But that always prompts me, like, is something wrong? Or like, why do you have to? Because most people are so opposed, you know. And she said, no, my cousin's boy, 17, didn't wake up. She said there was no history of anything. He was a good kid. She said it just really made me realize, watching her struggle, watching her not be able to go back to work. She's like, I'm helping her as much as I can financially, but I've got my own kids. And so she had a personal story where it happened, and she could see and watch her cousin go through the loss of your child. I can't imagine. And then try to just go back to normal life. That doesn't just happen, you know. Financial turmoil on top of emotional struggle. I mean, it just puts us in a bad place.
Yeah, it does. And it's so important to have that cushion, you know, at least the comfort, you know, when something traumatic happens, because it's the last thing you want to worry about is, you know, how am I going to pay for this after, you know,
I mean, just
losing
to
someone.
come up with his funeral was a struggle, you know, and family rallied, but most people, I mean, if we're being honest, we all have a sense of pride, and we're not trying to have somebody take care of my child's funeral. I want to take care of that. I want to make sure that. So she had that personal story, and she bought it on both of her sons. She had a 10-year-old and she had a 17-year-old. And she said to me, she said, I feel like such an adult today.
Oh, wow.
I feel so grown up. You know, this is a 37-year-old woman, but she's like, I feel like such an adult. I'm proud of myself.
Because like you said, it's the things that some of us just don't want to face, don't want to talk about. I didn't want to talk about it, you know, forever until I had to. And it was like a wake, like something happened. It was like, okay, I need to do this so that my kids are prepared and so forth.
Yes.
So you talked about the one, let's talk about some other life insurance policies.
Yes. Got whole life, which we talked about. It earns a cash value. So basically what that is every premium payment that you make, a certain portion of it goes into a cash value bucket. So a portion of the premium is paying for the policy, and a portion is going into cash value. So very nice. Those do get more expensive as you age, which is another reason why you want to get them when you're younger, healthier, if you can do it. We have term life, which is just like it sounds. It's for a period of time, typically 10, 15, 20, 30 years. You purchase a term life policy. They are cheaper. They afford you more coverage because we know as an insurance company, okay, this is going to expire at X date. Good policies. I have term, I have whole life, I have universal life, I have a little bit of everything because they all have a different purpose in my life. For what, you know, right now I need a little bit more, so I have more term because I've got bigger bills, right? I've still got a mortgage, I've got things like that if something happened to me, I want to make sure that's off their plate. I've got 2 daughters that if something happened to me and I don't get to see them get married, I want to make sure that I'm paying for the wedding, right? So I need more term right now, but as I age, the term isn't going to be as important, but I need that whole life to be in place. So it's there with me when I leave this world, or if I need it, because whole life you can borrow against. You can take a loan from your own money and pay it back or not pay it back. And so you've got some flexibility and some options with insurance too that aren't just all death related, right? There's living benefits to it.
So that seems like that's money smart, to be able to borrow from yourself instead of going to a bank and paying outrageous interest rates. Is it taxable or?
Yeah, great question. So no, any income you pulled out of life insurance, whether it's through a death benefit or a loan, is tax free to you because those dollars were taxed going in. Not that it's going to always be like that. The government has been trying for years to find a way to tax those dollars. And so far, life insurance companies have been able to stop that. So hopefully they can continue to do so.
Right. It sounds like a great option
Yeah.
for people.
Yeah.
Now, are there any other forms of insurance that is not as talked about that maybe people that's out there that a certain amount of coverage, like not health insurance, but say I lose my job or get hurt, or is there some form of insurance that I can use to kind of help me?
We've got some long-term disability, which is really popular, especially for it's something I've been thinking a lot about, because as I watch my parents age and I think, oh man, that's, I'm the next generation, right?
Yes.
And so it's like long-term care is out there, and it's something I've been looking at, and that would just help you with the long-term care of if you end up in a nursing facility or something like that. There's short-term disability options that you can look at for things like that. Health insurance, I'm health licensed, but that whole industry
I was
has
just
changed.
thinking if, just in case, if
There's different policies though, like if you host events, or you can get a policy for your wedding. If you're getting married outside and you are worried about rain, we've got event day policies. So much stuff.
You can insure so many things you wouldn't think about. And another thing that people don't realize, like, let's say you're in your car. I know lots happening downtown by the St. Louis Armory, smashing windows, stealing things. They break into your vehicle. You might have your MacBook Pro in there, worth $2,500. That auto policy is only going to cover maybe $250, maybe $250, not $2,000.
Right.
So what can they do to cover those personal items?
Absolutely. If you're not a homeowner and you don't have a homeowner's policy, you want a renter's policy, because that's where your personal property that's in your vehicle, should that situation happen, it comes from that policy.
Really?
And a lot of people don't know. They think, well, it's in the car, but it's not permanently attached or permanently affixed to that vehicle. So you would have to look to your property policy for coverage.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have thought that. I would have thought that I would have been able to get it taken care of through the auto coverage.
Yeah. Because, and for whatever reason, a lot of people are really against, I don't need renters. And it's like, you do. And you think about it, you're living in a situation, a lot of times in an apartment or something, you don't necessarily know your neighbors, how careful they are or aren't. And if they burn the whole place down and you lose all your stuff, do you want to go write a check out for all your personal property? Or do you want to pay $15-20 a month and say, all right, I'm good? And again, with a renter's policy, just like a home, you get that personal liability piece that follows you. So, we have an incident where one of our insureds was out golfing, driving golf balls with his buddies, and he nailed somebody in the eye. Guy lost his eyesight. Renter's policy paid out the liability limit, $300,000. Granted, it doesn't bring his eyesight back, but he felt at least I did something, right? And it didn't have to go to court and all of this kind of stuff.
And so what was that under? What insurance policy was that?
That would be under any homeowners or any renter's policy.
The liability
portion.
Okay. And that's because of the golf cart?
Because he hit it, so he was
liable, legally liable for the injury.
Okay. Yeah, you don't realize how many interactions where, and where it's getting really kind of crazy too is in like the online world with reviews and things like that. We're seeing a lot on the umbrella policy, because the umbrella also affords coverages that are gaps in your property policy. So slander, libel, things like that. We're seeing a lot of people get sued for, you leave a bad review or something, and the business owner says you cost the business. And so very, again, for an umbrella policy, typically you're talking, let's go high, $300 a year. But the coverage it provides, and such a small dollar amount. We're not even talking $1 a day.
I need to add an umbrella.
I'm writing notes right now, because I hope you all got your notebooks.
She's dropped some gems along the way. I was trying to keep up. So she mentioned scheduling earlier. I wanted to bring that back to you all, because when we do, I'm vegan, so I don't, but if you have furs or let's say paintings that are what are they, originals or just high value items, you want to get those scheduled. So explain what scheduling is.
Absolutely. So scheduling schedules that item for loss of any kind. It's an all peril, where your homeowners or your renters is going to cover it for fire, theft, lightning, your broad perils. By scheduling that item specifically, you're going to get paid that dollar amount, that you're going to have an appraisal attached to it. It's going to cover it, like a ring, you lose your ring on vacation. If you lose something, your homeowner doesn't pay for that. But if you have it scheduled and you lose it, there's coverage there, right? So yeah, definitely that's a good one, because a lot of people don't think about that. We just had a gentleman he had to take a whole separate policy. We had to go through our brokerage department, but his wife has a $130,000 ring, and she wants to wear it around.
Yeah.
And
So
you probably want some coverage on that, just in case.
Worth more than a finger.
Right, you're walking around with a house on your hand.
Right.
Right?
Seriously?
Oh my goodness. I can even do like customized cards. You can schedule some, but just be sure you speak with the expert. Call Angela. She'll get you right. And she keeps saying we. I don't know who we is, but she is the one who puts in the work. She puts in the work. She will work for you. She will find you the best deal. She's one of the greatest. The greatest that I know.
Thank you. I thank you.
Yes.
I do believe in being your advocate, though. If I am lucky enough to represent you and take care of your insurance needs, I do want to be your advocate, whether that's through a claim situation or just you need to come and talk because you're having a really hectic day, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, sometimes I feel like I'm a counselor too. It's like, okay, this is going to be a 30-minute call, but it's important, you know? And so, yes, I do. I take it very serious, and I try to be good all the time.
We have so many Geico, Progressive. Those are just like what online you can get that's nice and fine. The benefit of having an agent. Let's say you have Geico or whatever. Something happens. You have you're frustrated. You're in an accident. They're taking some money from you. You don't know who do you talk to. You're calling the 800 number. They don't have any invested interest in you. They really don't care too much. But when you have, again, she said she was with American Family Insurance. They still have physical agents. Like she said, she'll be the advocate for you. You can call her, ask questions. She can explain things to you. So that is the benefit of one of the many benefits of having an agent, as opposed to these other.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I thank you for pointing that out, because that is a lot of times I think people think there's not a place for us anymore, but I disagree. There's truly a place for us, and a lot of times folks don't realize it until they've had a loss, or they're having a billing issue, or they just have a question and they've had to talk to 5 different people and tell their story 5 different times, and they're like, oh my gosh. People call our office, they know all of us and we know all their stories, and so, but they feel cared about. They feel important. They feel like they matter.
That's so important.
And I think that the only plug I'll give for us right now is retention, right? We know retention in our business it's going to take a hit because of rates. People are shopping. And I can sit here and I'm really proud of this fact. Our retention has gone up 2 months in a row. And so just to be able to say that's huge right now.
Yes.
So what it says to me is our conversations are working. They're understanding what's happening, and trust. Yeah. So
That's amazing. I'm glad. I know especially with COVID, it's so many things were going on. People were so stressed, and it's like to be able to have someone you can call, and just get those questions answered, and it makes all the difference.
It truly does. Right. How was COVID for you?
It was crazy. I will say American Family was really, really awesome during COVID. I mean, they gave 10% off of everyone's bills. It started with a $50. They gave everybody $50. If you had 6 cars insured with us, you got $50, one for each car, so $300. They sent you money back as a way to try to put money back in your pocket. We knew you weren't working as much, or at least leaving the house and driving. We saw our loss ratio come down, so we wanted to give those dollars back because we knew people needed that money. And then we did a 10% on your bill for another 6 months or so. So
wow.
It was tough, but I was very proud of how American Family handled it and what they did for their folks.
Beautiful. Okay, American Family.
You heard it. The McCarthy group.
Right? Yes.
Oh my goodness. I'm trying to think of so many other things. Oh, when you travel, I think when I went to Colombia, I had some questions. I don't remember what the answers were, but so when you're traveling out of the country, Is there something specific that you need to be doing with any of your belongings for traveling?
Not in particular, you know, especially if you're taking rings or anything like that you've got scheduled, you're going to be good there. Your coverage is going to extend over. If you're going to Mexico, you definitely need to buy their insurance. You've got to get Mexican driver's insurance, so we can sell that to you. If you're going into Canada by car, we've got a special ID card that we can provide for you. A lot of folks don't know that because if Canadian officials pull you over, you have to show their card. So, yeah.
Summer trips.
Right? Make sure, first thing to do, make sure we're insured for this.
You know, insurance is just so misunderstood.
I think
and,
so,
and yeah, you'll get the declarations, which are the policy terms and conditions, and they just look so confusing. Again, that's another reason why you need an agent to help you through things like that. But so there's just a lot of confusion within the industry as far as like what can be covered as well. Let's start with your house. That's always a big one because it's one of the biggest investments that you can have as an adult. And let's say your roof starts leaking. There wasn't a storm, a tree didn't come through it, but it's just like an old roof. Let's say it's 50 years old and you have a 25-year shingle. Is that covered?
So we're getting into a little bit of claims territory here.
So it's not. It's wear and tear.
Yeah.
So that's just basically what I'm saying. There's a lot of confusion on what insurance can do, and people go, "I've been paying my policy, my premiums for 30 years, and this is my first claim." I'm sure you appreciate their business, but
well, I think the best way to sum it up is, as long as you maintain what we insure, we will insure what you maintain. So there's a certain responsibility, whether you're a homeowner and, you know, if your roof is aged out, well, then it's no different than being an auto owner and needing to put new tires on your car.
that's
You
a
know,
good correlation. Yeah.
it's like there's just a certain responsibility that comes with being, you know, you own a car, you own a home. Certain things at certain times are going to fall on you. Does it happen sometimes that a nice storm comes through and you get a new roof?
You say thank you.
It happens.
You say thank you.
It definitely does. But to that point, insurance companies are getting wise to that, right? So and it's not even that they're wise, they're getting smart to that because of the loss ratio. I mean, we have to maintain a certain amount of money and premium. You know, we're not looking to make a ton of profit, but we have to be profitable so we can pay out on potential losses. A lot of companies have switched up the way they cover roofs. So most companies have what they now call a percentage deductible. And that's very interesting because a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's a little bit cheaper and I've got a 1% deductible, and they think it's 1% of the loss. No, it's 1% of your dwelling coverage. So if you have a $300,000 house, you've got a $3,000 deductible. And every year your dwelling coverage goes up incrementally, so we'll follow your deductible, right? American Family is another one of the few companies left that we have a flat deductible still. We're still able to offer a flat $1,000 deductible on your home. A lot of folks are leaning towards $1,500 now. It's kind of making that progression, and back in the day it was $500. Everybody had a $500 deductible on their home, and then they kind of bumped it to $1,000. A lot of people right now are trying to just kind of mitigate costs and things like that. They're like, all right, give me $1,500, I can manage that, knowing that it's $1,500. It's not going to creep up on you every year and you can have a loss and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got a however big deductible.
It's funny you mention it because I remember hearing somebody, I don't know where, but they were like, oh my gosh, my deductible's like $8,000. And I think it was a percent. They didn't know because they didn't have an agent to explain it to them. And it's in that paperwork that's all confusing. Another reason you need an agent.
And I will say, we do have to have a license. We have to maintain, you know, a certain amount of continuing education hours. I mean, there is stuff that goes into becoming licensed and selling insurance. And so I think, why not use that resource? I mean, I can't tell you how often I quote against Geico, Progressive, and we're cheaper or at the same price, and we're bringing more coverage, and I know we're providing more value. Because you have somebody to talk to. You have somebody, you know, that's going to say, oh my gosh, you know, or hey, how have you been? Or, you know, oh, I know you went to the dentist. How was that? You know, we create relationships. So for me, it's not about the sale. It's about the relationships that we're creating.
I'm glad you mentioned savings and value, because you hear some people say, oh, you can bundle. So what are ways to save money on your policy?
That's
Yeah.
a good question.
Absolutely, yeah. So if you can bundle, and what you're referencing is that you can bring your home and a renter's, or your home and an auto, or your home and an auto, umbrella, life. The more lines of insurance you add, you get a bigger discount on your policy. And sometimes it works out to where some of those are paying for themselves. By the time you've got these discounts added, you're like, okay, wait, your net cost after the discounts it's free, or you're getting $20 back. So it really does make sense to kind of package your policy. Have your home and your auto, your umbrella, your life, have it all together to make sure you're maximizing those discounts.
Oh my goodness, we're getting discounts, we're getting coverages, we're getting, oh goodness, what else can we add today? Do you have a website, Angie?
I do. I can't promise that I know it.
It's okay, we'll make sure it's posted.
Yeah, it might
I'm
be on
super
the video.
techie.
Okay.
So
we'll
it
make
may
sure.
be, okay.
And her contact information.
Yes.
So that you may contact her office and get a new agent.
Yeah, I mean, or just let us help you with questions. You know, even if you're not going to come to us, we still will be there as a resource for you. Let us help you understand what you have, and if it makes sense for you and it works and it's a good policy, we're going to tell you that too.
Yes, thank you.
Any other misunderstandings in the insurance world that you hear or see often?
I think we touched on the
Yeah,
big
touched
ones.
it.
I think we
Right.
touched on the big ones. I think that, again, to your point, like having an agent, if you can have one, it's probably one of the better things you can do. I mean, you're paying a premium for this service. You might as well have somebody
Right.
that you know, like, and trust working for you.
I remember being a teenager. You know how that is, reckless. And I used to always think, like, why am I paying for some what ifs? You remember that? Like, why? Oh, baby, you need to prepare. So again, don't try to cut corners. Don't try to get, the least amount of coverage, because it is worth your while to get as covered as possible. If you're a parent, and we know those boys of a certain age can be a little bit higher just because of the risk. But again, you want as much coverage as you can to protect yourself, your child, and all of your assets.
Yeah.
And it's security. That I think the reason why we titled it Legacy Preparation is to be prepared. For you cannot build generational wealth if you're losing along the way. So, and if those things are not protected, then we're losing. Absolutely. You have to have that security.
You can't stress this life insurance.
Oh my goodness, enough.
And the different lines that she mentioned, and how you can be your own bank.
Yeah.
Like things that I didn't really think about. And
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about getting approved for a loan. It's your money.
Right.
Right?
It's a great thing.
Super important.
Oh my goodness.
This concludes this episode, Tuesday Table Talks.
Wealth of information.
Yeah, a wealth of information. All of our locals who are celebrating STL 314 Day, have fun. I know there's a lot of events going on.
Oh,
so
yeah, all kinds of
all
things
kinds
going
of
on.
stuff
A lot of the
happening.
vegan restaurants are having special plates. Adina's Vegan is having I think you get 2 plates for $31.40. Royally Baked. I got Royally Baked in the Lou. That's the shirt I'm wearing today. Another vegan restaurant. So just be sure to enjoy the day. Enjoy the 314
have
day.
fun, right? Tomorrow, the third Healing Energy Workshop by Master Energy Healer Kelly Wembley is taking place here in the beautiful space of Love and Light Cuisine and Wellness Center. That is from 7 p.m. I believe to 8 p.m. No, 6 p.m. Excuse me. 6 p.m. Is that correct? I'm not sure my
6 to 7.
6 to 7 p.m. So that is tomorrow here in this space. Friday, of course, every Friday we have open mic night. So you are welcome to come in and share your talents, your gifts, your stories, and just be amongst positive energy and enjoy great food, healthy food, and be in the midst of some great people. Other upcoming events we have, of course.
Oh, there's going to be an Indian night the last Saturday in March. I don't have my calendar in front of me, so I'm not sure what date that is. At the 25th?
The 25th.
The 25th. So This one will not be pre-order only. You can pre-order if you want to make sure the food that you want is available. Yes, pre-order, but it's not mandatory. So you can also come in and order. But it's dough-side Italy. So these are things that are best eaten hot. So you want to. It's best to eat it here.
It's gonna be good, guys.
Yeah.
Extremely good. So
Yes.
if you missed it last time, you got another opportunity. You can come in and enjoy it this time.
Yes.
So
And then
on the
last,
25th.
Yeah, the 25th, the last Saturday in March. And
Right.
then the last Sunday in March, we are planning a self-care Sunday. That's part of Tiggy'd's monthly event. So we're doing a self-care Sunday, just focusing on closing out Women's History Month, focusing on the women of our community and sisterhood and caring and for ourselves. So self-care Sunday. It's a self-care Sunday party is what it is.
Right. So
Yes.
see you all then. So as discussed earlier, let's first thank Angela McCarthy, Angie, for being our guest today and giving us a wealth of information, guys. So, and her details will be at the bottom of this video. Thank you all for joining. And as always, subscribe, share, comment, like, get us out here in the open because we are doing some great things here in St. Louis and showcasing some very influential St. Louisans. So, St. Louisans. Am I saying it right?
STLers.
STLers, right? All right. See you guys next Tuesday.
At the table.
At the table.
Thank you.
Love and lights. Love and lights. Right? Wait a minute. Did we not go live? Have we not been live?
It's okay because it's recorded.
Are you serious?
Although we're not looking at that camera. But... I remember everything you just said.
We did not record.
Oh no.
We had to because we did a countdown, right?
Oh yeah, I did do a
Yeah.
countdown.